the F4 Championship. I'm Brett Keenan doing, hopefully not for too much longer, a solo commentary. I'm hoping that one of the people I've invited into the Combox will join us in due course. They have got an invite to the broadcast, so they can actually be pretty much accountable for whenever they want to. Anyway, we've only got 9 drivers again, so another disappointing turnout, but there is an account for this one, and that's on the account that we have had a bit of a chop and change around with the F3, and at least one of them to have a bigger number set, so we're hoping to see a much bigger turnout for F3 later on today. For now, the F4 will play its part with the small grid it has. A few names that were meant to turn up have not, so that's pretty disappointing to say the least, but we'll just get around that and carry on anyway. And we'd also like to personally welcome back one of our drivers, actually 2 drivers I'll say, 3 drivers in fact, that have come back to the Transnation Formula 1 Championship in different categories nonetheless. So today our first return driver is Owen Bennett, or better known as Kart 1979. You'll remember him from the GP2 category from last season, and a little bit of the start of this season as well in F1 and F2. He has now returned to F4 to make numbers up there. Tomorrow you'll see the return of Bradley Bett, his cousin, Bet715. He'll be in the F1 category again in the Racing Point car, and then in F2 we'll see the return of Jaden Alton from F3, GP3 last season. He'll be coming back to race in F2 in my position at Toro Rosso Honda. Now, before you all jump to conclusions, no, I haven't left the sport, no, I haven't left the category. I've actually just switched teams to Ferrari in place of a few little troubling situations that we've actually since resolved, but because of it, I've decided just to stay out of Toro Rosso Honda and go back to Ferrari after doing it, leaving the team last season to go to Toro Rosso. So a bit of irony in that regard, and the same track too. So we've managed to come down to a point where yeah, so sorry about that, I was just checking up on some information. So yeah, so we've kind of found what we believe to think is the reason that drivers are getting stuck in the pit lane from what you saw in F2, mostly on my account, Jordan Dittmer's account, and last weekend's account at sorry, I'll just, usually this would be good if I had a sub-commentator so I could do this kind of chatting while I do things. Sorry, I'll just be with you in a second, fellas. A few changes have established that we no longer will permit retiring in the pit lane. We believe that retiring on pit lane is part of the reason as to why the cars get stuck in the pit lane. So you're probably going to sit there and ask, how does that work? Well, as far as we believe, as Guy Tasker now joins me in the commentary box, finally, the pit lane glitch system that we've found is that the pit lane thinks that when someone retires in the pits, it automatically thinks that the pit lane is blocked or the pit lane's busy, so it will not release a car out onto the circuit. And we came across this theory quite a bit, and Guy, we did a bit of research over the last few races that this glitch has happened, and we have pretty much concluded that drivers who come into pit lane and retire are the primary cause of this glitch. Must be fighting issues with his headset at the moment, but anyway, he has joined us in the in the broadcast too, so you will be able to keep in touch on that. So, Guy, when you got a free minute, just feel free to chime in. Just give me a second actually, I might just check to see if I don't have a nat type on them. No, I don't, so... Unmute your mic. Anyway, so Alex Reese goes to the top of the timesheets with a 1 minute 30.5. And also joined in the commentary box by the mascot. So she is... So Alex Reese goes to the top on a 1 minute 30.5. Guy, are you with us now?
I am, yeah. I just need to get a drink.
Oh, fair enough.
Needed to moisten my vocal cords a bit.
Anyway, so we were talking. I was just saying to the viewers and all that we've kind of deduced what the pit lane glitch is that holds drivers in the pit lane.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting situation and something that Codemasters are now actually officially looking into. So for the first time, something I've said to Codemasters is actually being looked into. So it's a proud moment for TNF1 fans out there. We're finally getting heard by the big shots at Cody's. So bit of a win in our books, and hopefully they'll get rid of that pit glitch, because it's retiring in the pits is probably the most humane thing you can do if you feel like you don't want to finish the race because you're having a bad run or something like that. But I mean, you shouldn't do it. You should just carry on, because you never know what's going to happen. I seem to recall a race last season that I was like down in 13th or something, and I thought about quitting myself, but I hung in there and ended up in the points about 7th because of a few DNFs. So, you know, it's all about managing yourself and just getting in there. But yeah, hopefully the pit thing gets fixed.
I think definitely. It was probably similar to me last week in Russia. I mean, I was on the worst possible strategy, and then had to have an extra pit stop because I broke my front wings and was 20 odd seconds off the guys in the points, but ended up with a P or the P5 in the end. So I think it's always, you never know what's going to happen. And, I mean, I know safety cars aren't very common on this game, but especially if you were to get a safety car, it brings you right back into play. So it's always worth keeping it up.
And so we also we're paying heed to the turnarounds and the return of certain drivers. You've probably noticed the return of one Owen Bennett in position 9 at the moment. Good to see some old names back in the sport. Hopefully they stick around for a bit longer than they have and they give us a show.
Yeah, definitely good to see Owen back. See what pace he's got compared to the rest of this field, really. We know he had good pace previously. So it'll be interesting to see if he's kept that up, I guess.
The other interesting thing I've noticed too in this qualifying session, other than Daniel Budwell in position 3 on the super soft tyre, no driver has really elected to go for the super soft strategy. So that's very interesting to see, say the least. There must be the possibility of rain in the future part of the race. One would guess that, because you could do a stop, you could do a one stop. Ooh, Albert's just grabbed the inner part of the pit lane entry when he came in there, so he's done a bit of damage there. But yeah, I was just saying, as I was saying, you can do a one-stop strategy from the super soft to the mediums on the circuit. We've concluded that much, but yeah, it doesn't look like anyone's too optimistic about trying that theory as of yet. But I will say, for Luke Ringham in P2 to do a 29.6 on the mediums, to be only really within 0.4 of a second off the next driver who's running the softs, that's not too bad. And as Owen goes now to the top with a 128.7 on the super soft, so goes a second faster than the rest of the field.
Yeah, it's a pretty strong time.
So looking at the average times of drivers roughaging around the different brackets, we know that the F1 drivers should be looking at about a high 26, low 27. The F2, you could see some 26s, but primarily you're going to look at the 27, like mid 27s, high 28, high 28s, and then F3 and F4 are kind of mixed branch, so you don't really have a gathering of what to expect from these drivers. Next season we will, because we'll have a more balanced timesheet of drivers battling it out, rather than the likes of drivers that are too quick for one category and then a driver that might be too slow for another. And we still do technically kind of have that with F1 and F2 at the moment as well, because you've got reasonably quick drivers like Engine Seagal, the Legend Gamer, Daniel Val, and then some of the not so quick drivers who I won't name because I don't want to put them off or anything like that.
Might be a bit savage. Yeah.
A bit savage, but then you've got the same kind of thing in F2, where you've got the likes of Matthew Plevy, Sebastian Spicer, and all that, who have got the F1 qualities, and then you've got the people at the back that are generally fighting to try and get in the points, which, when you've only usually got about 13 or 14 cars, it's not too bad. Especially if a few DNS happen here and there, and the odd occasional bug or something. So,
yeah, which probably aren't all that odd in this game.
well,
more likely to get one than not.
Well, exactly. I mean, it's one of those things, and with the supposed rumours of the next generation console coming out next year, the PlayStation. Well, I mean, we believe it will be called the PlayStation 5. We can't really say much on there. I mean, it would break conventions if they didn't call it the PlayStation 5, because it's always been numbered, unlike the Xbox, which was always
just a bit all over the place.
Xbox 360, Xbox One, Xbox Scorpion, or something like that. Although the Scorpion wasn't a new console, was it? It was just an update to the Xbox One or something like that.
I believe so, yeah.
But yeah, so personally I think F1 2019, if it's not going to be a DLC, which I think if it was, it would have already been pretty much announced by now. The initial rumours was that we were supposed to have a DLC for F1 2019 pretty much right about now, which was to, and then they would update the game every race to enhance the game, the car performances, to make them what they are. I mean, if you were to base it from pre-season testing this year, you'd be a little confused by the pace of the drivers. Because
yeah, I think so. It's well, it'd be tough to tell. That's for sure at the moment. I think
because
you've got another week or so.
I mean, if Cody's looked at the power rankings of F1 on the F1 website, they might get an idea, but that might not necessarily be the true statement. Ferrari, I mean, there's no doubt Ferrari will be the car to beat this year, I think. But
I think, yeah, I'd agree with that.
But presuming that Racing Point and Toro Rosso will be at the back, and of course, well, I mean, Williams being last, I can't put that off as well. I mean, that's judging by how their season's been going already, I can tell they're going to be in for a bit of a hard, especially with the departure of Paddy Lowe as well. That's going to be a huge kick in the teeth to thing. But anyway, we'll press on with that conversation during the race if we've got a free moment. We'll get back into qualifying. So Daniel Budwell has moved up to P2 with a 29.2 on the Supersoft to improve, and it doesn't look like Luke Ringham's actually come back out on the soft tyre, so he looks like he's going to try and improve his time. We see Alex DeMau go up to P, well, actually stays in position with a 29.9. So the top six pretty much in really close proximity of each other. In fact, the top three are only separated by the mere... Well, actually, sorry, position 2 and 3 are only separated by mere hundredths of a second. And then...
Yeah, and you do have the tyre compound difference between those two as well.
Yeah, and then from position 4 to position 6, you've got basically nearly a tenth between them. So, I'm guessing it's because of the weather being overcast that the cars aren't quite gripping up in contrast to a normal sunny day. But usually, in real life racing terms, overcast conditions usually means more grip because it's trapping heat in. As Owen now improves on his previous best with a 28.2 to now actually literally go within a second faster than the next driver, so he's definitely laying down a statement.
Yeah, I think so. I think Luke's in quite an interesting position here on the medium tyre at the moment, but he is currently out on the soft. So, but we'll see if he can improve, because the 29.6 isn't, he's only 4/10 off what the guys in second and third have done really, and they're on the on softer compound tyres. So I'm just going to keep an eye on what he can do here, because he may well be able to get it up onto the second row of the grid, but on the harder compounded tyre could make it interesting when it comes to the race with a.
And I mean,
obviously,
we're no stranger to this situation. We know personally well that Suzuka's not ideally through 130R, but yeah, Suzuka not primarily one of your favourite circuits. Just to tell the viewers, especially Axel Ericsson, who's probably watching now with bated breath, as he goes P2 with a 28.8.
Yeah.
So only 6/10 off the pole time on the soft tyre, so that's a pretty good representative number there. So yeah. I'd imagine jump on the supers and you'd be looking at a 27 for Luke, maybe a 20, maybe a just slightly faster time than Owen.
Yeah, I reckon. Oh, he's
aborted.
Enough there,
oh no, he wouldn't have got back in time.
Oh yeah, I'm guessing he probably wanted to start on the softs as well. That's probably why he did this.
It's a more guaranteed.
The alternate strategy.
Yeah, it's a more guaranteed one stop than a. But I still think there might be a weather card
interesting. There. Yeah, because I think he would have got close if he'd have gone on the supers. I think that would have been a close shootout between the two of them for pole there. But yeah, that is going to be one to watch in the race anyway.
So yeah, anyway, so you're not avoiding this conversation. So what is about Suzuka that just doesn't fly with you?
I think it's predominantly because I'm on controller, and it just doesn't suit a controller at all. I think especially the first sector when you're going left, right, and that is the change of direction is what is particularly hard on the controller, flicking it from one side to the other. And then also just a lot of these kind of high-speed corners, really throwing it in. It's a bit harder to get the turn in just right on the controller. I think that's what I put it down to. I think it is just the controller. I think I'll be fine. If I was on a wheel, I don't think I'd have that much against it. But I can't seem to put a lap together here. So I think that's where my hatred for it comes from.
I think it really comes down to people kind of say, oh, it's a power circuit. Oh, you need to have the great straight line speed if you want to be remotely competitive. It does to an extent. It's not a complete prerequisite to be remotely faster around the circuit. It's about getting the car to sit on the curbs, sit on the acceleration coming out of the curbs. It's really a downforce orientated circuit as far as I believe, and you do have to have a bit of straight line speed if you do hope to want to stay in a position against someone who might have a lower downforce on their car to have better straight line speed. But I think personally it's a downforce orientated circuit, because especially through the first sector you have to be able to position your car so well that you're not attacking the curves, but at the same time you're not doing you're not being under a conservative. So I'm just watching it from on board Alex Reese at the moment, so you can see he gives the curbs a bit of a touch up. He's actually holding it through 6th gear, which I would not primarily say is the greatest strategy, but it does look like it keeps the car quite stable as he goes through the dangers, sorry, and then heading into the hairpin. Usually you want to drop those to about 2nd gear, maybe 1st gear if you're not using assist, so that you just get that little bit of extra traction coming out of the out of that bend, and then through here into Spoon. Now Spoon is the circuit that part of the track that make and break your time. So as he goes, he's very gingerly actually through Spoon. I'm a bit surprised.
That was quite.
very conservative.
cautious. Maybe not wanting to invalidate, I guess, if we ran wide or something.
Yeah, the invalidation on the circuit is a little bit stricter than usual, so you do have to be careful. I actually don't know if this is really... I wouldn't actually say this is a flying lap, I would say, but...
I thought, yeah, I was going to say, I wondered if he backed out of it. I think, yeah, I think he had. I think he backed out of it through that last sector, at least.
So that looks like that's it for qualifying, apart from the fact that Owen is going to try and go for one more.
I think that might have been it. I think he realised, actually, he was on the... he didn't want to set that time on the super soft, so I don't think he thought he could improve enough to make that much of a difference. So,
well, speaking of improvement, Owen now in the 27, so he's pretty much... He already had...
I saw him, I didn't think he crossed the line, actually. I thought he missed out by a few seconds. I didn't think he got across the line in time to start that lap, but obviously he had. I was watching him as he came round, it was close,
but it looks like, yeah,
he did make it.
So Owen Bennett, on his return to the Translation Formula 1, sets pole position in the F4 category by nearly over 2 seconds, so he's definitely come back with a bang. I will personally say that if he was in F1 or F2, that time probably would be back of the field F1, maybe in the top 10 in F2. So, but it's still a bit of work to do for Owen, but I'd suppose as far as it goes, it's a win for him, and it's nearly a full row lockout for the United Kingdom the continent of the United Kingdom there, with a front row lockout for Great Britain and a Englishman in P3. Alex just needed a jump Albert there, and that would have been a complete washout for the Brexit leavers, as we'll call them, or the Brexiters.
Oh God, don't.
It must be a very touchy subject, and I don't blame you for being touchy subject, because it is quite a big deal given the state of what could happen if it just doesn't go the way that Theresa May wants it to. So it is a very dark time for...
It's an interesting one.
Oh, I think there's a lot of things have gotten quite out of hand. Just recently, we've got a New Zealander who left New Zealand to join ISIS, now wants to come back, and we don't want him back. So
interesting. Yeah, we had exactly the same thing.
Yeah, that's been overhead line in the story too. A 15-year-old girl that left for ISIS now wants to come back because she's got a child, or. And Britain is
talking about ISIS on a F1 broadcast.
Well, let's be honest. A lot of Turn 1 incidents have been a kind of a bit of a Allahu Akbar kind of moment. So,
oh God.
Oh, we're gonna get
Turn 1 Bahrain.
Yeah, we're gonna get slammed for that one probably. But
I would say we'd get demonetised. But
we got to get monetized. We have to be monetised first for that. So. Anyway, so without further ado, I'll let you run through the TKA media starting grid while we try and sort this mess out.
Oh, that's very kind of you, anyway. Right then. So, as you said, Owen leading off the field on his return to TNF1, the F4 category. His first race in the F4 category. In second place, we have. Bubble Rock. I'm not aware of.
That's Daniel Budwell.
Daniel Budwell. I recognised the surname, but I didn't know the first. Anyway, Daniel, second place. I think this one's a nice easy one. We got Luke in third place. Followed by, I believe this is Albert, is it not? Albert in fourth place.
That's Albert, yep.
Yeah. Alex. Alex. As
the two Alexes, fifth and sixth.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So we do fifth and sixth both. Ayub in seventh place. We've got two Mercedes. Were both the Mercedes in qualifying? I only remember seeing one. I might have just been okay. Just me being an idiot.
Only one.
Aiden in eighth place, and then we've got
Diogo. So Diogo moves from F3 to F4 for the rest of the season, and hasn't quite had the qualifying he would have hoped. And It's been a bit of a disappointing run for Diogo. He hasn't been able to, after his strong results in the first two races, well, his first two races at the Australia and China back-to-back races in F3, it hasn't been smooth sailing from there, and he's decided that he needs to he wanted to move to F4 to make it, just see if he could salvage something out of it, and he'll start from the back of the field. So the cars are all lining up now, so the cameras are going on a bit of a wobble here, but the lights are building up. We get the halt process. They probably something I need to
angle there.
Yeah, probably need to do something about that with Cody's about
very
that.
slow starting. McLaren at the back there, and Alex, he's been swamped.
And it looks like Aiden's also been swamped as well from the start, but it looks like Owen's gotten through.
Luke got a pretty good start off there. Up into P2, and all clean so far, I think. Oh, as I say that.
Yeah, we've already had Alex had a moment.
There was any contact.
So Owen will lead them off from Luke, then Daniel in P3.
Ayub has had a great start down there.
Yeah, he's jumped his teammate as well.
Yeah, up to P4.
And Diogo's managed to get out of the drama early in the start to jump 2 spots from the start.
Oh, there's a real dive from Alex on Albert there, and sent Albert sideways. He got his way through. That was an interesting one, but
I think that one will definitely probably go up to the steward's office, but
it's not really the place to overtake. I suppose you go quite wide into it, but you always sweep in. So
it's an idealistic setup spot to make a move at the hairpin, but it's not really a move that I would think you would primarily try and actually commit to a move.
Yeah, I think the angle is a little bit too tight for you there, really.
So looks like Owens.
They're both still running anyway, and it looks like actually Albert's going to go for a move back on him here into the last corner. Oh, a nice little late switch from Albert to the other side, and he's got it done.
So
nice late move,
and it was good for Albert to not actually just return serve and fire Alex off the circuit as well. So a good level of respect.
Alex is coming back at him here. They're going side by side into turn 1.
And Aiden's also tried
out early and tried to come back. But yeah, Aiden's getting involved now.
Oh, he's been given.
Oh, a bit of desync there, I think. Yeah. Maybe.
Well, that's definitely not desync there.
Yeah, I think he just got himself onto the grass there and lost it. But as it happens, these front 4 are all pretty closely packed still.
The only thing I'm trying to figure out is that all I know is that Aiden has purchased a wheel. I don't know when he got it, but as far as I'm aware, I don't know whether he's using it or not. I mean, the driving style that I'm seeing on the screen right now suggests otherwise, that he is using his pad, but he does have a T300 with the Ferrari F1 wheel attachment, so
very nice.
So very committed cause, but whether he's using it or not, I don't know. I think he said he was using it for the first state of qualifying, but then, as far as I'm aware, that's all done. But it looks like this battle at the front is really heating up, because Luke, I thought
Luke's doing really well on these soft tyres.
It's really giving Owen a bit of a hurry up around the circuit, and I think I'm just trying to remember what Owen. In fact, as he does it, he's now gone up the inside. Will Owen back off and let him through? Actually, no. Owen goes really super deep on the brakes, but actually manages to hold the ground. It does compromise his run a little bit.
How has he done that? Yeah. Well, Luke's not going to be able to make a move through there.
I'm just looking at how Owen. Yeah, I'm just looking at how Owen's driving at the moment, and I'm thinking that he has probably reverted back to using assists again, because of course he was in F1 at the start of the season. That was no assist, and then he did. Oh no, there we go. There's a brake lockup to suggest he's not using ABS. So I thought he was just not using ABS. We've got a yellow flag, and that's Alex de Mau off at. Is that?
Oh, so it is.
Is that Dunlop or is that before Dunlop? That's way before Dunlop. That's
that's way.
That's probably turn 3. It is turn 3.
Yeah, turn 3, I think.
So it's not hard to do if you don't.
I just noticed Luke's dropped off quite a lot through middle sector there. I'm not sure what happened. I just looked away for about 10 seconds and he's dropped back outside the DRS range. So
we're going to have another battle soon too between for positions 3 to 5, because you got Daniel leading off the 2 Mercs. Looks like Alex has had another off at thing. In fact, oh, a bit of team play here as Albert's.
I think Albert's letting go.
I think it makes sense.
Yeah,
He definitely knows that Albert's the fastest of the two, and Albert is leading the championship at the moment, so it is a bit of team play there. But definitely, I mean, you don't see that too often, especially in online racing, because I don't know if it was you and I that had this conversation before, but these two, you don't call these people teammates because you don't get to know them as well. You're not there with them every single day. You're not talking to them every single... I mean, unless you're on Discord all the time. You're not talking to them all the time. So they don't have a rapport with one another. So, like, if you and I were racing together in the same car, we could call ourselves teammates because of the rapport we have. But, no.
Yeah. Oh, and Daniel's had a moment. He's run it wide and got up on the outside on the grass, and he's managed to hold it out the fence, which is a pretty good job just to keep it on the track, but it's allowed Albert right up behind him now.
Yeah, just caught glimpses of Albert trying to have a look around the outside and didn't pull it off, so he backed off and just try again. But yeah, so if you and I were in the same car, we could call ourselves teammates because of the fact of the rapport we have with one another and all that kind of stuff. So for Ayub to play the team card like he did with Albert, and I would guess that he and Albert don't have that much of a rapport.
In a move for P3, huh?
Yep. Oh, this.
Oh, backed out of it.
Well, I've always had a statement of rule with 130R is that the car in front has the right of way. So if you're side by side, then it's the car that has their nose in front before the 150 meter board is generally the one that has to give way. So Albert did the right thing by not forcing the issue. And I have to say, Daniel's doing a really good job to actually hold the ground, but he's actually gone really super... I don't know what to call that, to be honest, because he went into the grass on the inside, not the outside.
As well.
So I don't know whether
both the Mercs.
How do you call that? I mean, you can't call it was super deep or super shallow, but you don't usually go
neither.
No, because usually if you overcommit, you go off the track, not in the track. That's a weird one.
Yeah, that's true. I just realised Luke's pulling back on Owen now. I think Owen's tyres perhaps starting to struggle a bit, and the softs are coming into play a bit for Luke. So
Hayden with the
I
first.
think we're going to have a real scrap for this race win today between these two.
Yeah, exactly, and I think because I mean I'm not sure. I haven't done really much runs on the soft tyres and know what kind of strategy options you get out of it, but. I don't think the super soft to soft would work that much unless you really intend to push your supers to...
I'm not convinced.
But, I mean, both are pretty much... I would say both are running the same strategy of the one-stop. It's just that Luke will probably have more of an advantage at this point of time because of the fact that he's running the harder of the two, which means he'll run for longer. So... It'll be interesting to see.
If he wants to attack, I think he's got to go for it now, try and make the most of this phase of the race where his tyres are going to be the ones that are really on top here.
Speaking of stops, Daniel Budwell's now, and he's going on the soft tyre, which from the supers is suggesting a 2-stop for Daniel. So that's an interesting state of play for a driver to run on the 2-stop. He's got quite a bit of a gap between himself and Alex, his teammate, so he won't have too much to worry about there. Aiden's just tracking along thing. Ayub has just got a 3-second time penalty, and that was for cutting one of the Digners. Diogo's done a pretty good job to keep it on the track and truck along to P5. He's only 2.9 seconds off Ayub, who's got a...
I think Albert still has an outside chance in this race. If these two battle a bit, he might be able to gain a bit of time on them. I think it's a bit of an outside shout. But being on that soft tyre, if he might be able to gain on Owen a bit, especially if Luke gets past him here.
And I think we're going to see that very soon. But I can see the difference. I think Luke isn't running ABS. Well, is running ABS because you could see, unless Owen was just a little too deep on the brakes. Luke, Owen's just a little.
Wanted to go to the.
He's going to try and do the. Is he going to try
to the inside there?
Is he going to try and do the over and under here? No, not enough grip to pull it together. I think Owen was a little cheeky there in the fact that he was already kind of moved to the defensive point and then moved again. So you can only really, in racing terms, you can only make one move to defend, and then you can't make another. But
I'm not sure he did too much wrong there. I think he was always moving over that way, and Luke was convinced he wanted to go that way, but I'm not sure the door was ever
there was a bump there. There's a bump there.
At the last sec. Yeah, he's definitely. I think he's going to be getting a bit frustrated here, I think.
Oh, Owen's locked up. He's
half looks, but I feel like Luke perhaps just needs to get a little bit more aggressive now. As I say, this is the stage in the race where he really needs to try and push home this tyre advantage.
I think Luke needs to probably. I mean, he did back off a little bit at one point, and we've got an incident in sector 1. I think that might be Ayub. Yeah, Ayub's had a bit of a mistake coming through Dunlop.
Ah, so he has. Oh yeah, he's just come out of the pits as well. So he's on fresh super softs.
So yeah, soft.
So he's going for a 2-stop.
Seems like the way to go. Here we go. So Luke's had a good run coming out of 130R, but of course, usually 90% of the time the driver will go defensive there.
Owen really struggling on those tyres now.
So we'll see what Luke can do from here. So Owen again on the defensive straight away. Got to be careful when you go on the defensive because it does compromise your entry into the corner. And as you can see there, Luke had to go really hard on the brake there. Just
this is it. Luke doesn't seem, because Owen's going defensive, Luke doesn't seem to be able to carry the speed into the corner and really make the most of Owen's bad exit off of it.
Yeah, so I think you kind of distracted my point, is that you have to be able to find your opponent's weaknesses on the track. So it looks
this
like
is definitely where Luke has a massive advantage through here.
Yeah, so Owens looks to be very weak through sector 2, but then if that was me, I probably would have gone for it.
I think that's possibly the place. I think that's where he should make.
I think that was his best opportunity. That was definitely his best opportunity.
He's definitely got the pace coming through that middle sector, and I think that's where he gets the closest through the whole lap. So I think maybe next time round, if he hasn't got him, I think perhaps he'll have identified that as Owen's biggest weakness. So we'll see. I think
also 130. Yeah, 130R is also another weakness I've noticed too from Owen. I don't know if I feel like Owen.
Luke touched the grass on the outside there, and yeah, had to back off a little bit.
Yeah, Luke's definitely not running ABS. You can just see how much extra carry on, and Owen's in
into the bits.
And yeah, look how much time that Albert actually made on these guys through that whole skirmish. So that's hurt big time for both of them. It's now 2.9 seconds from the lead of the race, but now Luke will have the knowledge of clean air, and he'll be able to track along. Owen's now jumped onto the medium tyres, so that's the definite one stop there. He'll come out just ahead of Aiden, who's coming down the front straight now. Diogo now moves up to P3 and running on the medium tyre. I'd say Diogo's on the shadow if he can hold it together for a P5 finish, if he stays true to his strategy and just keeps himself out of trouble.
Yeah, he's gone for the very...
Just a small moment there.
Perhaps hoping for a safety car. That would put him right into play there.
Yeah, the problem... he's got a Sector 1, Sector 2 incident. Is someone gone off?
It's Aiden.
Aiden's had it.
Aiden was off, going a bit slow. Yeah.
Another moment at Dunlop. So Dunlop is a very tricky corner to get right, because it's just... It's such a fast corner, but you've got to be careful not to overdo it in the way that you touch the inside curb of the corner or the outside, because either one's going to fire into the fence. Got another Sector 1 incident, which I think in this case was... This time I think it was Alex Reese.
I think it was Alex, yeah.
So...
look at that. Luke's at the fastest lap of the race as he's unleashed, so...
And he's already, and you can tell too, because he's already extended that gap out from Albert to quite a bit of a margin there. So it looks like you always have to look at it, and it's kind of like sometimes you have to sit in the prospect and think, do I take a gamble, take a dive at a point, and get the move done, maybe not unsportsmanly, or do I hang back, wait for the person to pit, then unleash? Because it comes down to a matter of it's a head game. A lot of the time, as Aiden now comes into the pits and jumps onto a set of super soft from a set of mediums, I don't know if I think that's a bit too early to be going from the hardest compound to the softest. So I think Aiden might be committing to a two stop as well. We'll see what kind of times
must be from there.
We'll see what kind of times Owen does in response in a Sector 2 incident. That's Diogo. Diogo's had a huge off coming through. That's Dunlop again, isn't it?
So you did say it was if you could keep it together. But,
no, that's actually the hairpin.
Yes, it is. I can.
Well, my first race with no assists in Japan ended in that kind. Well, it didn't end in that kind of, but it ended up in that kind of situation. And that was the thing that kind of contradicted me the most about that whole weekend, was that qualified reasonably well and was staying with the field for the whole probably about 5 laps, and then as soon as I spun at the hairpin, that was pretty much the beginning of the misfortunes that would end up still leading me to my second race win of the season. So
yeah.
And that's the thing too, and that was the thing that we were talking about with the whole don't quit the race if it's not going your way sort of thing, because you could be in my situation where you could end up winning the race because everyone else has had misfortune. So it's not ideal when you have a shit race, and I can imagine that I can say that probably the most out of anyone this season. Going from World Championship winning glory to just struggling to find any remote pace to stay in the top 10 on the best of days, with one podium to my whole name this entire season. It's demoralising, it kills your motivation, and especially when you're in a race where you're just spinning, caught in incidences and all that kind of stuff, you do feel like you just don't want to do it anymore, but you just hang in there, you carry on, and something might come out of it. If it doesn't, oh well, if you finish the race, which was important, as Luke gets a 5-second stop go for speeding in pit lane. If he's committing to the 1 stop, that will only imply to a 5-second time penalty, unlike Russia.
That could be big coming down to the end of the race, because it was looking tight, so
we'll just see where
that could be costly.
So Owen's coming down the back straight now. Luke, this is going to be tight. This is going to be tight. I think Luke will have him.
So, yeah, Luke does.
Sector 2 incidents. It's Aiden again.
Oh, Owen's giving him a little tap on the back there.
Probably a little bit of payback, a little bit for the time that Luke did it to him. But I mean, it's good.
Luke's just got to be careful because he's got to warm these tyres up. So
yeah. So if Owen needs to seize this older. Yeah, Owen has to seize this opportunity now while Luke's getting his tyres up to 10, because if he doesn't, I'm going to say that Luke will probably start to pull a gap, because the one thing that we notice is that the pace of Luke's tyres, as I think Ayub's just had another off, it's a matter of once the tyres heat up, I think Luke will be gone, because it looks like he's been able to manage those harder compound tyres a lot better. And that's maybe that's why Luke went for the strategy of starting on the softs, because he thought that maybe he wouldn't have the pace to use the super softs to their full advantage. So he's gone for a different strategy to ensure better pace. As we watch a battle here between Daniel Budwell and Aiden Refai. Aiden's gone a bit wide through Dunlop, and Daniel's now trying to take the incentive. They've both... they both went off at the danger. So... But it looks like Daniel was the worst case scenario.
Albert just coming out the pits as well. He's just pit, so he's going to have the freshest tyres of them all. But he is just over 3 seconds, 3.5 seconds down the road, really. So
But with the
Yeah, so
5-second
Owen just
penalty,
starting to drop back as well. But that's,
with the 5-second stop
true,
go, that's
5-second
gonna
penalty.
that's gonna throw Luke behind these two. But if Owen keeps dropping ground like he is, Luke might actually very well get that 5 seconds, because he's pretty much nearly 5 seconds ahead of Albert, so he's almost guaranteed P2 at the moment. But if he keeps pushing, I mean, he's already made up 1.3 seconds in the space of several corners, so I think Owen's pushed a little too hard to try and stay with him and made a mistake.
I think Luke, just looking at Luke at the moment, he's running it in his hot lap ERS mode. While he can, I think he's trying to break that. Well, he's broken that 1 second barrier.
Very good.
He's trying to build that gap. So
that is very quick. As Ayoub's come in from
it's about 2 seconds now. He's really pushing it. But he's almost completely out of ERS now. But so is Owen by the looks of it. So 2.1 seconds.
That's not too bad for a 1 lap dash, considering that Owen was right up his butt coming into the first part of that lap. So
that's a huge result for him.
I think that's Alex again off at sector 1, is it? No, someone has gone off, but it doesn't look like it's... Oh, maybe it was just a mistake, but either way, the mascot's watching with bated breath for an incident, I think. You might have to wait till F3 for that one. The snow. There's not a big enough gap for an accident unless someone makes another mistake. There's been quite a few mistakes, and I think Japan is one of those kind of circuits that you will see it every now and again, but it's kind of a perspective that you have to be able to look after your car while being quick, and it's an issue that I think a lot of people, and that's probably a lot of the other reasons why Suzuka is not one of the most favoured circuits on the F1 calendar, just because you've got to be able to be assertive but conservative at the same time, and as an online racer you don't want to be able to have to try and pick which one you want to be, because if you're too aggressive you're on the fence, if you're too conservative you're just going to be at the back. So it's the worst case scenario. And there's no such thing as an in between.
Yeah, I think that's actually quite an accurate way of putting it, really.
So just looking at the field at the moment, so we'll just have a look at the first we'll check the fastest lap, which is still Luke holding down that one, but we'll look at the positional changes over the course. So Luke, the biggest winner has definitely been Diogo, who's gone up 4 spots despite the front wing massacre of the hairpin. Biggest loser has definitely been, according to this, it actually says it's a combination between Alex DeMau and Alex Reese, both in Ps 8 and 9. Of course, they were 5th and 6th, so that is a big drop for those two. Luke's made up 2, Albert's made up 1, and then Aiden's made up 2, Daniel's dropped 2, and Owen of course has dropped 1 as opposed to being the pole sitter. So you can, having a look at the stops also, we can see that everyone apart from Ayoub has done a 1 stop. Ayoub on the 2 stop strategy. We think that Aiden will have to do another stop, as Ayoub actually now does the fastest lap of the race on those soft tyres. Who else did we think? There was another driver that we presumed... Oh, yes, Daniel Bidwell in P4. We project he's going to have to make another stop, because we don't think those softs are going to go to the end. If he does do that, that'll be quite an incredible feat. The closest gap we've got to a field at the moment is probably either between Owen and... Actually, have you just noticed that the gap between Luke and Owen is now 5.3 seconds?
Yeah, I've just been watching it grow. I'm amazed at the pace he seems to have found here.
Well, I don't know if that's the pace he's found. I think Owen is losing pace big time, because now Albert's within striking range of P2 right now. So
yeah, that's a good point.
I wonder if Owen's setup is being kind of open towards using the softer compound that either that or the setup that he's using is eating his tyres alive, and now Albert, with the slightly fresher tyres, is right on the back of him. It'd be interesting to see from Owen's perspective if he can stay on the podium to see what's happened, because that pace, he was right on the back of Luke, what would it have been, about 3 laps, almost 6 seconds, to the point where he's now under attack from Albert. So
yeah, it is interesting, just that real drop off in pace between the tyre compounds that Luke definitely hasn't had. So I can only assume it's to do with Owen's setup there, that wasn't prepared for the harder compound of tyre.
The other thing I could almost think of is that he's probably, when you qualify nearly, I think it comes down to a lot of things when you think about the qualifying. You look at your qualifying pace and you think, okay, I'm a second faster than the rest of the field. The guy that qualified second, there's someone that's actually going to come out in front of these guys, but very right.
He's dived onto the grass to get out of the way.
Very good move there by Alex Reese. As we suspected, Daniel's now in for his second stop. I think he'll be safe from... We'll just keep an eye on this quickly. Hopefully Albert doesn't make a move on Owen while we do this. So Daniel's going to come out. Oh, this could be fairly close between Diogo and Daniel. It looks like Daniel's got the measure of Diogo, but Diogo will have slightly better momentum.
Close. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting battle there.
So we'll just keep have another quick look at.
Diogo had a moment there through turn 2 and has lost a bit at that time.
Well, that's the other thing too, is the dirty air effect.
Yeah, dirty air through that first sector is really horrible. It's really hard to follow another car through there.
Now, what was I going on about? Something about... hang on, I might just hold that thought for a second while... Because Albert's right on the...
Backed out of it. But Cots ran wide. So Owen.
He's gone for it straight down the inside at the final turn. Owen's gonna give him a bump.
Bit of a bump.
I think... it's a corner to overtake, but it's also a corner that if the person alongside gets a slightly good run, they will definitely go for a fire back down the inside. I mean, I wouldn't call what Albert did a dive bomb. It was actually a very controlled...
I think it was just a late move. It wasn't. I think it was.
It was a very controlled late move that I think at the end of it maybe.
Ricciardo-esque, I think. Lick the stamp and send it.
Probably a little. I would have said it from a little bit further back. Would have been more Daniel Ricciardo-esque. I think I did one of those in China. But.
Yeah, well, that one reminded me a little bit of the Bottas move in China.
So anyway, I think what we were talking about was the... I actually can't remember anymore.
We're talking a bit about the setups and the qualifying pace.
So you qualify a second in front of the person in front of you on the same compound tyre, and you kind of sit there and you think, okay, well, clearly I've got the faster car. I'm going to be able to pull away from the rest of the...
lock up and run a bit wide there, sorry.
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on it. It's just mincing my words a little, so I'm not going to miss anything. But yeah, and then... So Owen might have had a bit of a thought that he might have been able to pull away from the rest of the field, and as he goes wide again through thing, but Albert again went for the try to go for the same move, but this time Owen was a bit more wiser.
When Albert's got the drive for that little bump coming out onto the home straight is horrible here.
It is. It's
real killer.
It's a perspective.
And here we go.
What was move. That? That just looked like he went so square around. It was almost like a square move. It was like watching something off a Game Boy, but he's got the move. And he'll have the momentum hanging through. Owen did try to kind of squeeze the issue there through the S's, but he
couldn't quite hold it in there.
So Albert now up to P2, and he'll probably likely pull away now. So yeah, so I think Owen probably went into the race thinking he was going to pull from the field, and then when he realised that he had a Alfa Romeo up his gearbox, on the soft compound tyre, telling him kind of, hurry the hell up or I'm going to overtake you. You do get a kind of a sense of, okay, something's definitely not right here. Is my setup too aggressive? Is it eating my tyres alive? Is it doing anything that might be slowing me down, or is just the other people just done a setup and kind of sandbagged their way through qualifying? I mean, I wouldn't say anyone who qualifies through sandbags through qualifying is an idiot, because you don't sandbag in qualifying, because then you could end up down the back of the field with a lot to do. So
yeah, absolutely.
So I think a lot of people probably just because Owen was the only one other than Daniel who elected to start on the super soft tyres. He gets a 3-second time penalty, and I saw that.
He's also completely out of VRS there, I've just seen as well. So he was really pushing to try and keep it in front, but he's got DRS to help him here, but not going to be close enough to make a move right now.
Someone's gone off at sector 1. I think it was actually another car that was getting out of the way.
Yeah, it might have been Aiden was coming out of the pits. He might have just, I think he might have slowed down just to try and let them through before he came out of the pits.
So basically the entire field, other than the top 3, are all on 2 stops. And
yeah, so they are.
So that's an interesting statement, but I suppose if you know, I mean, I've kind of always asked the question of why would you do a 2-stop and an obvious 1-stop race. The answer to that question is actually quite simple, and that's confidence about your driving ability. If you do test running and you think, okay, I'm definitely not going to make a 1-stop by doing this, my strategy, my driving style, or my setup is too aggressive to the point it's burning my tyres away, then a 2-stop was obviously the way to go. Now, there are some people that either do the setup right, or they can drive the car a bit smoother than everyone else, and that's how it all works. So it's not a bad thing to do a 2-stop if you know that you're not going to be able to commit to a 1-stop.
Ooh,
that's a big one. Where did he? Oh, he would have done that. He would have done that at the last 2 turns. He must have.
Oh, I just saw. Yeah, but he just cut the inside of the turning into the chicane. He cut the inside with it. It wasn't carrying that much pace. It just
yeah, but I think
it gave him a 5-second stop go for it.
It did. I think
it might have counted it like it was a straight lining it. I guess that's the only thing I can think of.
And he did it the lap before, which gave him a 3-second as well. So maybe the game has a kind of a policy that for that corner in particular, if you do it once, you get a 3, and then if you do it again. Although I don't think I didn't see it, possible. So I don't know how he did it compared to the other. As it looks like Aiden's had an off again, and he's done that at Dunlop, and that's his whole front wing assembly gone. He was in a battle with Alex Reese up until that point, so I wonder if maybe there was a bit of argy-bargy, maybe a bit of something as Diogo does the fastest rate. Oh, and Aiden just... Oh no, sorry, that was actually Alex DeMau. I thought that was the race leader that he rejoined in front of. So no, that was Luke's teammate Alex DeMau, who's had a pretty torrid race this weekend. Well, I think I would actually almost say anyone from AU down has had a pretty torrid race.
Yeah. Yeah, there's been a few offs. Put it that way.
And yeah, Luke is just enjoying now a 10.7 second lead over the rest of the over second place now.
Cozy.
Who was it? There was a. Oh yeah, it was the F3 last weekend. We had a kind of a moment like where Sterling West, our championship protagonist, against or antagonist, I should say, against no, I'm not. I don't take anything from what I said. This isn't good versus evil. It's just, but he was controlling a very nice gap in the race, and then an accident happened, and he was pretty much now then trying to battle his way back to the race lead with Tyler Beasley taking yet another race win. So I've always said it, and I'll keep saying it because we have seen it on several occasions. This is for the point where Luke can now just back off. He's got the 5 seconds that he needs to stay ahead of Albert upon the 5-second stop-go that'll be planted into his time at the end of the race. So he doesn't need to now be overly aggressive. He doesn't need to push himself to the limit. If we look at his ERS, he is running Well, it looks like he's harvesting at the moment. We'll just see if he does flick it up or not.
I think he's just keeping it around the middle. Looks like he's just running in standard.
Yeah, so he's running it on medium, I think that one is, mode 2,
Yeah.
so he's definitely not pushing anymore, he's just conserving himself. Maybe the last thing you want to do is try and push for the fastest lap, and we've got another sector 1. No apparentness, so must have been just there is the odd occasion where there is just a glitched out yellow flag area. Owen's dropped off not as rapidly as I thought he was. Maybe a lot of the gap that he lost to Luke might have come down to an ERS situation where I mean, let's be honest, sometimes you just don't care about the ERS and you just run hot lap the whole time, and sometimes it does play that part. So he'll hold down P3. He's got more than enough of a gap despite his, I think it's about a 13-second time penalty all in all for his misdemeanors, I think. I wouldn't know, to be honest. I don't think Albert and Luke have a penalty yet, so... Oh, Luke does, but not a...
Luke has the, yeah.
But not
apart from the 5 second for the speeding, look at that. Not a corner cutting one. Yeah, he's being rightfully so, being quite careful not to get them now, and is actually pulling out the gap still. So I'd imagine Albert as well, probably just being safe, because the last thing he needs is...
well, just pretty much granting him the F3 title, with David Edwards still not turning up to a race, and Ethan Lossings, who's away till Mexico, so we've still got another 2 races before we see Ethan Lossings back in the grid. So there are a few names that are kind of helping Albert in his pursuit for a F4 title. Of course, we'll see Albert race again in F3, to which he's now joined full-time, same car, same number, so we'll see how Albert fares against some of the drivers of F3, Sterling West, Matthew Elliott, Yevgeny Delacour, all those big names that are still very much in for the F3 title. And then of course we see you among every other driver in the top tier duking it out for F1 glory. Daniel Vale will be looking to remedy his last lap misdemeanor at Russia to pretty much cement his world title. I mean, you can't deny it. I think at this point of the season, I think Daniel Vale has pretty much given himself the best opportunity he can to win this year's world title and be the first driver to, well, only the second driver to win a world championship in the F1 category in the effective 3 seasons that we have been racing.
Yeah, I think he's got to be the hot favourite from where he's at the moment. I think it's going to take quite a lot to quite a miracle to not see him lift a trophy at the end of the year, I guess.
And it's also a precedence too, because he is a bit sceptical about the race times for next season. Of course, with what Europe and Oceania doing their bit of a swapperoo with the times. New Zealand goes back an hour, the UK and all that go forward an hour, so it does make a bit of an interesting racing perspective, but we'll just see how that plays out when it happens. So we've got 2 laps left to go, and Luke holds a 11.1 second lead over Albert Garcia, with Owen holding down a P3 at the moment. So on return to TNF1 in the F4 category, looks like he's going to salvage a P3 finish, what will also account to a good pole position for him as well. So he's done well for his return, and he'll be more than willing to step himself back up to get a race win again before the season's done. We also see, like I said, Bradley Betts will be back tomorrow for F1 in the Racing Point, and then Jaden Alton, who also returns from GP3 last season, he'll be back in the Toro Rosso for F2, with my move up to Ferrari for the rest of the season. And initially, what was my thoughts of getting away from the pit glitch, which we've now deduced to be something different, but still, I'm going to just say it out loud, I bleed red and this is my home, so...
Okay.
Well, it's... I mean, you could say the same thing about Red Bull, I suppose, because they are Red Bulls, but, I mean... I don't know, I think that dream kind of ended with the aspiration also of retiring. That's not exactly an issue anymore, so... I'm not that I'm saying that I'm not going to retire, it's just that I'm not openly going to retire when I said I was, so... We'll see what kind of warrant. Now, we've got a battle
Drama.
here. We've got a battle here between the two McLarens, and funnily enough, it's not actually for position either which way. So, his teammate Alex, so it's Daniel leading Alex, but Alex looks like he's actually got quite a bit of pace on his teammate.
Yeah, he's on fresh super softs.
So yeah, he's not. The last thing you want to do is take your teammate out when he's battling for a P4 finish. Although, in saying that, Daniel... I wonder what's happened to Diogo, because Diogo suddenly... that's kind of like the Owen effect. He was right up behind Daniel upon Daniel's last stop, and now he's 24 seconds behind him, so...
Yeah, it's a weird one. Happened again.
So he's been obviously dropped off the pacer, he's made a few mistakes. But yeah, the rest of the field pretty much up. I mean, the closest battle we've got is Alex. Well, the two Alexes again, separated by four seconds, but yeah, I don't think that's going to change anything. But either way, we'll now cross back to Luke Ringham, who's on the final lap now, and he's been super quick all weekend with the third fastest time on the soft tyre. Pushed Owen Bennett to the absolute limits in the first stint, and then controlled...
Ooh, and Alex has just had a moment in McLaren, just gone off at turn 2.
Oh, and Aiden's actually just had an off in the last turn. Well, I mean, you could call it the last turn, I don't know what. He's obviously hit the bump, and it's unsettled him, and he's fired into the fence. But either way, we're just catching on to the right time now, as Luke Ringham will collect his first race win of season 2018, and the first race win for himself in the F4 category. So well done to Luke Ringham, winner of the Japanese F4 Grand Prix. Albert Ramirez Garcia will take position 2 after a well-fought battle to get ahead of Owen Bennett, who will cross the line in P3. So there's our top 3. We'll grab them to have a chat with them while everything is set in motion. So of course, one of them has to be, of course, appearing offline, so that makes it all the more fun to search through the hundreds of names that I've got on this list. Oh yeah, we've still got plenty of time between now and F3, so Daniel Budwell gets his season best finish of P4. Diogo will take his season best in F4 of P5, AU P6, Alex DeMail P7, Alex Rees in P8, and Aiden Rifai will make up the last of the field. So we've got Owen Bennett here. First and foremost, welcome back to the Transnation Formula 1. Congratulations on pole position. Race pace looked a bit below average on your part. The first stint, definitely you were just battling to stay ahead. And then looks like the second stint just didn't favour your car and you dropped a lot of time, but still, podium on your return can't be too bad.
Yeah, I mean, my setup chewed through the tyres quite quick, so it was quite hard to stay ahead of him for the first stint, and then as he came out the pits on my second stint, I ran into the back of him and lost a bit of my nose cone.
So it was a bit. It was a bit of a drop in pace from damage. So, okay, we just thought that the tyres might have fallen off a lot quicker than imagined. So it's still a good result for you, especially on your return and the pole position to go to your name as well. That always makes an interesting statement. So Thanks for your time. We'll see you again at the US Grand Prix next weekend. Albert, well done, P2. You definitely extend your championship points lead. That's no statement given that your championship competitors aren't turning up. One explained, one not so. So the race looked a bit dodgy for you at some point of it, with contact between yourself and Alex Di Maio at the first lap, but it looks like you've managed to salvage yourself a good comeback in P2 for your efforts. He did have Super Pace today, and I don't think he's joined us, so I don't think we'll hold on to that theory too long. So well done on your P2, and we'll see you again we'll see you again in about 50 minutes time when you take on the F3 drivers for the first time. So good luck for that one, and maybe we'll see you again on the podium in F3. So Guy, any comments you want to make before we wrap it up?
No, I don't think so.
Alright, well, it's been the F4 category race for the Japanese Grand Prix. Your top three, Luke Ringham, Albert Ramirez Garcia, and Owen Bennett on return from the TNF1. Guy Tasker, Brett Keenan signing out from the Japanese Grand Prix. We'll see you again in about 15 minutes time when Mark Bratby and I will take coverage of the F3 category. If Guy wants to stick around, he can always be an impartial observer. Like he was kind of last weekend, but it's up to him. So either which way, we'll wrap it up here, and we'll see you again in 15 minutes time for F3. But for you F4 viewers, we'll see you again next weekend when we take it out in the United States of America. Yeehaw!